As I said, you are watching HLN. We're so glad to have your company. Thanks for being here. Well, the defense has rested in the John Edwards corruption trial. No more witnesses are going to be called to testify in this case. Rielle Hunter, former mistress and mother of his 4-year-old, was expected to take the stand as early as today. His daughter Kate was also expected to testify. Edwards, of course, didn't take the stand in his own defense. Prosecutors say Edwards used campaign funds to hide his affair with Hunter. Closing arguments scheduled to begin tomorrow. Juror deliberations could happen as early as Friday. Edwards is charged with 6 counts of illegal campaign contributions and falsifying documents. If he's found guilty, he could get up to 30 years in prison. I want to talk more about this with attorney Michael Barnes now. So, Michael, I was listening to CNN's Joe Johns, and they were talking about why Rielle Hunter didn't testify, and he was saying that he had overheard, that, this isn't confirmed, but he had overheard talk that perhaps there was not necessarily some infighting, but some disagreement amongst the defense team as to which direction to go. In the end, they did not call Hunter to the stand. Was that a smart move in your opinion? It
was, yes. It was a smart move. Whoever pushed hard not to allow her to go was a very smart attorney and did well for that person's client, because bringing Rielle Hunter on was really risky. There's really no incentive for her to do anything to the defense of John Edwards in light of all the facts in these circumstances, and she's going to get child support regardless. So you have to also give consideration to what the risks are. I mean, she could get up there and be a loose cannon, and one of the things that I remember is having also watched very closely the Conrad Murray trial. There was that parade of girlfriends. There was Nicole Alvarez, who had her instrument that just really wound up being a disaster. Bringing these women to the trial, whether it be for the defense or prosecution, not really ever a good idea.
Well, what impression then, at the end of the day, what impression or theory do you think the defense left with this jury when they rested?
That the law is weak, the law is unclear, untested, and in fact, ultimately it'll be that the law has changed, and that these facts, of course, are egregious. The defense, I think, really conceded that the facts in this case are outlandish, but the law doesn't really support that there is a finding of guilty with respect to these particular charges. Morally, is he guilty? I think they'd say yes, but legally, no. And they got into the intricacies of the reporting requirements, campaign finance law, what the intent was behind the donations, how the money was spent. Just they really got into the details of the law, and it was really smart.
But going into deliberations, do you think that the prosecution proved its case?
I think that the prosecution had some good moments, and I think it's going to be difficult for them to win over a jury with a unanimous guilty verdict. But one of the things that really struck me is that they actually helped the defense in some of what they got out of their own witnesses and didn't really seem to either care about it or push back. For example, the prosecution got from the star witnesses that John Edwards didn't really believe that what he was doing with respect to the funneling of this money was illegal. And I think that goes to intent. So they had some things that were not really positive that I don't think that they adequately tried to undermine or could adequately undermine. So it's going to be tough for the prosecution.
So what do you anticipate we're going to see in closings?
In closings, I think we're really going to get to the fairness argument. We're going to get to the issue related to the fact that there were these advisory opinions that allowed the campaign to believe that whatever was going on would be legal. And I think the facts on the defense's side are that, frankly, there was no conspiracy or collusion regardless. But even if there were, the law doesn't provide that this is a crime under federal law. And then I think the prosecution is just going to focus really heavily on whether or not these payments would have been made if John Edwards were not a candidate for federal office. And that's the strongest point for the prosecution.
Okay. Hey, Michael Barnes, thank you so much for your perspective. I'm sure we'll be talking to you in the next couple of days, too, as we watch this thing unfold.
Thanks, Christy.
Thank you.